how it always goes down. And my thesis is electoral politics is a tranquilizing drug because people want a hero. People don't want to put in the work. People don't want to accept the reality that we got a lot of work ahead of us in order to fight this corrupt system that we living through. So this is the story I wrote about. I'm gonna do a full segment on this soon, maybe on RBN Live. You know, this is the story they write every 2 years. Black voters frustrated with Joe Biden. So I made a point that IQ was right, and I've been making the argument for years now that Black people need to establish their own self-determination, build a third party. Obviously, allies that want to help us, that will help us build an overall giant working class campaign, right? But you have someone who's good faith, as Russell brought up. This person's good faith. So they see my powerful point, like over 1,700 likes on that. And this person says, so what should these folks do? Because I'm talking about how Black people haven't been represented. So what should these folks do? You see they always go with this. This person not bad faith, but they always go with it.
That's almost exactly the phrasing of the question I got. Almost exactly.
What should they do? Sit out the election, Russell? Who is the candidate they should support according to you? Look, this is how you know they're good faith. Generally curious. So that's why I responded. Right. Like, okay, this is the one who just want to know. Because before the post-duopoly leftist independent media channel like us, conversations never been had. Right? They probably heard Cal Kalinske talk about it. So this is my response. I'm glad she was actually really receptive to it, right? But I said Black people need to establish their own self-determination about to set and build their party. So many are stuck on the plantation of the Democratic Party. And after that, this is where you see the tranquilizing drug kicks in. Because obviously a lot of people agree with that, but you can see the pushback I got, and this is it. This is the pushback I always get after I describe my theory of change. Third party is very hard, though.
Right.
You see it? Third party is very hard to do. They're like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you got a plan that's not going to allow us to waste our resources. I know it's going to take a lot of work, but it's hard. I want to leave.
What do they call this? Then what do they call this? What do they call what we're doing? Is this,
okay.
I mean,
let's.
It's hard, and we're not even getting any results. Go ahead, kid. Or
I'll pass to you guys, but I don't mean shit on this person. Like, I'm not trying to shit on Big Rabbit here.
Yeah.
I'm showing this tweet to show you guys how people are literally addicted to the tranquilizing drug of electoralism. But go ahead, guys, if you guys want to chime in on
Okay, so first of all, let's dispel this notion of the idea that third parties don't work, okay? We've seen them work in other democracies. Number two, third parties have won here in the United States. Yes, there's been local elections, and yes, Jesse Ventura was his governor's election. There's been a lot of incidences where, again, a third party or a political organization like Social Alternative have been successful. But let's just rewind back the clocks further to a presidential election cycle where a third party won. Yeah, you might know them. It's called the Republican Party. There used to be another party here called the Whigs until the Republican Party took over. They were a third party. Hell, they were a radical party. At least in their era, they were, because what they wanted, abolition of slavery. Okay, there we go. Just keeping it very simple here with the then Republican Party under Abe Lincoln. So there was a lot of people saying that party can't succeed. Lincoln can't succeed. Let's also bring up Theodore Roosevelt. Now, even though he gave up on the Bull Moose Party, he was a force to be reckoned with. Let's also look at the fact of, again, they're not perfect individuals, but Ross Perot and my oh my, were people laughing at him when he made that vacuum noise. People aren't laughing now because he hit the nail on the head. And then, of course, you have Ralph Nader. And if you want to extend it further, Dr. Jill Stein and Gary Johnson of 2016. Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party, Dr. Jill Stein of the Green Party. So third parties can be done and they are effectual. But the thing is, now they've been vilified to the point of where saying it can't be done. It's impossible. And the reason why it can't be done is because the Democratic Party and Republican Party have built laws at the state level and at the federal level that prevent third parties from being on the debate stage with the help of corporate media that spew out that propaganda. And I've said this before, same people donate to the DNC, donate to the RNC. So the people who control Democrats and Republicans also control the media. George Carlin was right. It is one big club and you ain't in it. So there's a narrative being spewed down to people. Yes, so what do we do going forward? It's simple, and I'm prepared to get pushback for this statement here because it's not easy to digest. Number one, okay, I mentioned what RBN is doing. Let's bring up Rome and the fact he's building this library. We're going to have to start building small and start building foundation now. I don't think we're going to have that big revolutionary moment where, we get the president who's going to bring in everything and it's rainbows and sunshine. That's not happening. Build the movements now. Build the organizations now. break away now. And it's got to start off small. And we're not going to have a lot of people here with us. We are going to be alone. We're going to be vilified. And unfortunately, for things to change, there isn't enough blood in the street. The system has to choke on itself. We are Byzantium. We are the Byzantine Empire. We're not the Roman Empire. We're dying a slow old man's death of stagnation. And in order for there to be change, the people have to learn it the hard way. And it isn't the first time a nation or people have come to terms that their nation, their rulers, are purposely failing them.
Yes.
So
well, yeah,
I'm
but
sorry.
look, I mean, the
it's got to happen.
Yes, sure thing. And I hear you. We all hear you. I think that all makes sense to us. To sell that person that Nick was going back and forth with on that, to sell whoever Russell was going back and forth with on that, it's a really, really tough sell. It's a really tough sell because they want. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to finish the story because
okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna explain why, because I think you're making a point, and I want to show you this before you finish it. This is why it's important to have these conversations, because this person in this conversation, as I mentioned before, I think was asking in good faith. Now, this person, after I'll show you guys the person who was like, "Oh my God, that's impossible," right? Now, this person also kind of had that same reflex, but he said, "I agree. Though it's hard to motivate folks not to be afraid of even more chaos in the short term. But yeah, agree." So why am I pointing this out? And I'll pass to you, Ken. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, that's okay.
But the reason I'm pointing this out is this person say, "I agree. It's going to be hard, but I agree." So what did that tell you? That means this person knows, and people inherently want a third party. They just need these strategies reaffirmed to them. And then you got to get them to get over the hump, the fact that it's hard. Now, this is why I say people like Crystal Ball, Kyle Kalinske, and Mike Figueredo, they're actually the biggest obstacles to third parties. They think that the system being rigged is? No, they are. Because we need to plant the idea. It's not going to work on the first time. We mentioned third parties, like, damn, what? Then we mentioned it again. Damn, that's going to be hard, brother. Then we mentioned it again. All right, I'm down. But they cut that process off. So we say we need to get a third party. They're like, okay, shit, okay, that's crazy. Is that possible? Then they come in, they scoop in and say, "No, it's not possible." You gotta drop these revolutionary thoughts.
That's exactly what they do.
Because when as third party activists, when we say the reason why third parties don't win is because you guys don't support them, it really is that simple. It's quite literally that simple. Like if people would just drop that shit and get to work, we would be there. If there wasn't crystals and people halfway there scaring people like this person off, they would be there. I promise you, this person saw a Kyle Kalinske or anti-third party spill that made them hesitate. And now when they see my argument, they like, and then we got to start over. Like these people that gatekeep third parties are hurting us. But
let's go to Keaton and then I'll chime in. Yeah, I'll go to Keaton first.
These people want instant gratification. The media, whether it's indie YouTube media or corporate media, sells instant gratification, right? There always has to be a plan. If you don't have a plan that can work right now, we don't want to hear it, because a third party is not viable right now. We don't want to hear it. We don't have time for that, right? I think it's very important, and this is, what I talk about quite a bit, and I don't say it to black pill people. I don't say it to make people miserable or nihilistic. I say it because I think it's true and I think it could be helpful. These people who we're arguing with, they need to sit with their despair for a minute. They need to just look into the void for a minute. It's very important that they do that. It really is important. And it's not, I'm not trying to depress people. They need to understand what they're doing is failing and that this movement is failing. The left is failing. And that we don't exactly know what comes tomorrow. We don't know what to do right now. People need to sit with that for a second and just chill the fuck out with that idea. I'm sorry to mimic Marianne Williamson and get all spiritual on everybody here, right?
Well, there's a difference when you do it and when she says it, okay? You actually mean it. Marianne, not so much.
Like, it's really, really important, because the alternative is to bullshit yourself and chase the next dopamine high, chase the next sugar rush. Marianne, RFK. What's Kyle got
Right.
to say to me about
Right.
Oh, Marianne's on TikTok. That's great. Okay. These all crumble into nothing. You have to be willing to acknowledge that we're failing, we're in shambles, and we don't know what comes immediately next. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing nihilistic or depressing about that. That's a necessary step, because out of that, you have a think, and we get to talk about, okay, what exactly do we want to do? Where do we want to take this? What can come next? Because right now, without that moment of just pause, because these people don't pause. Social media is all about like, share, retweet. Oh, you pissed me off. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It's all going so frantically.
Blocked.
Blocked, muted. Right, exactly. It's all just this. It's just so fast paced. People do not think about where they are. Where they are. Where are we?
This is such a good setup, and I will let you read that super chat in a second, Nick, because what you're describing, I've written that down, and let me explain. If you have a bad spouse, do you need a new spouse before you leave your spouse?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Or do you just leave your spouse and say, I'll figure that shit out later?
Exactly.
Why do you need to know a destination before you say, I'm getting out of this shit